Welcome to episode 66 of the Twig Snapper Podcast. Today I'm joined by Samantha Murphy, the Arizona State women's hockey team. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Alex?
I'm doing pretty good. You said you just got done playing some roller hockey?
Yeah, our media team does roller hockey every Tuesday, and so I decided to hop out with them today, and it was a really good time.
Just for fun, just people just kind of like scrimmaging or?
We didn't do any scrimmaging today. It was just kind of like skating around and shooting and stuff. But we're trying to build a team with some of the girls on my team to go in a tournament. So.
Oh, okay. Like an actual tournament that's
Sort
somewhere
of.
else, or?
It's called an Ironman tournament. They do it here. It's like you get 5 games and they're all about 10 minutes and there's no whistles. It's just like free for all kind of. So we're trying to set
Okay.
up something for that.
Yeah, it sounds like that'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's kind of dive into some hockey here for a little bit. First off, why'd you pick Arizona State? I think it's a good place to start. Kind of get your background of why you're here.
Yeah, well, pretty self-explanatory. It's a fantastic school. Just I think the campus kind of sells itself. Like once you tour the school, you kind of fall in love right away. Sorry about that. You kind of fall in love right away, and the people on the team, getting to meet the team was really fantastic for me during my recruitment process. This team just has such a connection that no other team I've ever seen has. It's just such chemistry between everyone on this team. Coming from Canada, it was hard to decide to be this far away from home, but
Oh, you there?
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I lost you for a sec. You were saying something about being far from home.
Oh yeah, so being far from home is difficult, but the people on the team really help. And my recruitment process was a little bit wonky because it was during COVID.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to have all the coaches come out and see me. And in the league that I grew up playing in, it's really pushed upon you that you either go NCAA or you play U Sports, which is the Canadian league. And you're not really educated on what the ACHA is like. So one of my teammates ended up committing to Liberty, which is one of like the most prestigious programs in the ACHA.
Yeah.
So it helped me learn a little bit about what the ACHA is. And one of my dad's friends lives in Arizona. So he told us that ASU has a women's team. So we kind of got in contact with Lindsay Ellis, the head coach, and I came out, did like a prospect skate, toured the school, and the rest was history.
Did the warm weather factor into it at all?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sick of the Ontario minus 40 degrees Celsius in the winters. So I'm kind of loving the 100-degree weather here.
Yeah, I'm sure. A little jealous about that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what everyone says when they hear I go to ASU. They say I get to play college hockey and live in Arizona. So I'm pretty much living the dream.
Yeah, definitely. No, Arizona's great. And we can talk about that a little bit later on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the 2021-22 season first for a little bit. There's a couple of big weekends you guys had where you guys were just lighting up the scoreboard.
Yeah.
That's always fun to talk about. And you personally had a lot of success in those weekends.
Mm-hmm.
The first one would be the Denver weekend. You guys won 21-0 and then 14-1. And I think in that 21-0 game, you had 5 goals, if I saw correctly.
Yeah.
So take us through that. I mean, like after the first couple went in, you kept scoring more and more and more, and then just kind of like the onslaught on the other team.
Yeah, I guess it is tough when you play teams that do result in blowouts like that. You do kind of feel bad for them because it's obviously a little bit unfair. We played Air Force, which it was their first year in the ACHA Division I league. So I think they didn't really know what to expect with us because we were a pretty good hockey team. So I think it was tough. But a big thing for our team was getting a lot of points and being in the top 10 for point leaders in the league. We had, I think, 4 or 5 of us who finished within the top 50, which was kind of a big deal for our program. So Lindsay, our head coach, basically said, like, just do whatever you need to do, keep getting points. Like it's good for us as a program to have that on the scoreboard. And hockey is about scoring goals and winning games. So no need to stop. Might as well just use those games to work on certain things. So
Yeah, exactly. And then there also comes to a point where even if you back off, like if the other team, there's only so much you can do. It's not like you're gonna stop playing. Like
Mhm.
if goals are going in, you can only take your foot off the gas so much before it's like there's nothing you can do. They're just gonna keep going in
It'd be worse
and
if we just played keep away with them. Like, the least we owe them
right.
for traveling down to Arizona is to give them a good hockey game, so
Yeah, exactly. I
Mhm.
think between the Denver and the Air Force series, you guys scored 21 goals in one game,
Mhm.
26 goals, 16 goals, and then 14 goals.
Yeah.
So a lot of scoring between those four games against those two teams. And against the Air Force, I think you had 7 points in both games. So big weekends for you.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, 26-0. That's incredible. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
I
one, I
haven't.
think the shots on goal were, like, 150 to 2. It was tough.
That's
It's uncommon, but it
yeah.
does happen sometimes.
I saw something similar like that here in Hancock. The university just closed, but there was Finlandia University. It was a
Mhm.
Division 3 school, and they just closed. But this season, their women's team went to Adrian, which is one of the best women's teams in the
Yeah,
country, and I think they got outshot. Same thing, like 130-3.
yeah.
One of their goalies, she made 87 saves and let in 5 goals, but
Mhm.
still, she made 87 saves. I can't even
That's
imagine.
incredible.
Yeah, like
It's tough though, just there's so much depth within the Division 3 leagues and within the ACHA league, so it's kind of inevitable that you're gonna have games that do end up like massive blowouts.
right, and like you said, if they're a newer program and
Mhm.
you guys are more established, it's hard to kind of come in. And same thing with Division 3 and Division 1 and everything. All the newer programs struggle because
Yeah,
everyone else has it figured out, and you know, and then once you get down, it's easy to just keep getting down. Like
yeah,
you're kind of
exactly.
you get worn out. You get your spirits are kind of destroyed, and it just adds to it.
Yeah, totally.
So through that season, in 20 games, you had 45 points. Was that something that you were like keeping track of personally? Like, yeah, I want to stay at point per game, 2 points per game. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Were you like focusing on that at all?
A little bit. It was important to me to keep producing because that was a big hole on this team. One of the big reasons Lindsay Ellis took me onto this team was because she needed more people who can produce. So it was kind of a big deal for me to be able to do that for her and for the team. Um, Especially, I really wanted to get to 50 points in my freshman year, which I wasn't able to because I did get injured during February, so I wasn't able to finish the season. But it was exciting keeping track of my points a little bit, especially as a freshman. It was really cool. I did end up breaking the record for most points in a single season by a Sun Devil, as well as fastest to 50 in program history. So that was really cool. But
Yeah,
mostly, I just cared about helping us win games.
right. It's nice to get a little extra accolades still along the way. If you do, I mean, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, right.
Um, So we'll come back to ASU, but I guess I'm kind of curious about the whole Norwich. I saw on your Instagram it says you had that post about transferring,
Hmm.
and then when I first contacted you, I looked at Elite Prospects, and it only had your Norwich stats for this year on there. There was nothing from ASU. So then I was like,
Hmm.
okay, now I'm confused. Where
Yeah,
does she play? Because then I saw you had recent posts from Arizona State, and then
yeah.
Elite Prospects got updated and everything. So tell us that story about this year.
It's a pretty unique situation for me. So growing up, like I said, it was NCAA is forced down your throat, U Sports is forced down your throat. Those are your only options. And then COVID really kind of made my recruitment a little bit funky. Came here, and then throughout my season, because I was kind of having such a successful season, I kept thinking to myself, like, oh, I can still do this. I can still go NCAA. So I did get an offer from a Division 1 school. And I decided to enter the portal so I could continue having a conversation with this school and hear what they had to offer, stuff like that. So I jumped in the NCAA transfer portal, which is mandatory if you're transferring from an NCAA school, even if you're not playing NCAA. So I was in the portal, and I was unaware that being in the portal meant that every NCAA school could see me. And while I was in the portal, Norwich had reached out to me, and the head coach, her name's Sophie, she just sent me a really nice message just saying like, saw your name. I'd really love to talk to you. Even if you don't want to come to my school, like I'm here to help guide you through your transfer process, because she herself transferred. She went to University of Vermont and then transferred to Norwich. So she was just kind of offering some guidance. And I thought, you know what, I'll tour the school along with this Division 1 school. Like I didn't have it in my mind that I wanted to play Division 3. It was kind of just either go to this Division 1 school or stay at ASU. And so I toured both of them. The Division 1 school just wasn't a fit for me. It was a messy time for when I toured. On my way to my visit, they had fired their head coach. So it was very hectic.
Yeah.
It was bad timing, I guess. So kind of wasn't a huge fan of that one. So I toured Norwich, and I loved it. Like the coaches were fantastic. The facilities are better than majority of the Division 1 facilities out there. I got to meet some of the players, and they were all really, really great people. And I liked the campus. I was intrigued by the aspect of a military school. So I decided that I was going to go there. So I started out my sophomore year at Norwich. It was really awesome, really good experience. I got injured in my first game. Very first game, last minute of the game, I separated my AC joint pretty severely. So I was out for a month and a half to 2 months, which is why I had 4 games on my league prospects there. I missed the majority of the season that I was there. And during my time being injured, I was able to reflect on why I decided to go to Norwich. And I was thinking, am I here for hockey, or am I here because I want to go to this school? And I think I kind of realized that if hockey was removed from the picture, I probably wouldn't be at Norwich. Whereas if hockey was removed from the picture at ASU, I would still want to be here. So a really tough decision. I really did value my time at Norwich. It helped me a lot. I think it made me a much better hockey player. But I made the difficult decision to reach out to Lindsay again and say, hey, this is the situation. Will you take me back on the team? Originally, I was thinking I was going to try to finish the year at Norwich and then come back for the start of my junior year. But Lindsay had said, if you're able to come at Christmas, I'll take you at Christmas. So I kind of got everything sorted out and came at Christmas, and I'm back here now.
Well, it's a really interesting story. It's pretty
Yeah,
unique. I haven't heard any like that
I know. Yeah,
before.
yeah, it was interesting. It was cool.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of like a roller coaster of events, and but like you said, it's experience it's an experience with hockey, an experience, a life experience. It's all these different experiences, memories, all these other things that you've got moving forward now. Do you, like, looking back, do you regret entering the portal knowing that you just came back to ASU, or do you think it was well worth it no
I think it
matter,
was well
how
worth
it
it.
worked out?
I think it really solidified why I want to be at ASU. I think if I didn't go through that experience, I would still be left with like the what if. I would still be thinking, what if I could still go play NCAA? What if I could be elsewhere? When doing that kind of made me realize the only place I want to be is ASU, and the right school for me is ASU. It's just, I say it to everyone. Like, I'm one of the players that my coach sends all the prospects to talk to because I speak so highly of the school. I know
Yeah.
everyone says this, but this team is like no other. Like the chemistry between the people on this team is so fantastic. And I haven't met nicer human beings than I have here. Like, everybody here welcomed me back with open arms when it could have been really easy for them to kind of block me out and be upset with me for leaving originally, but just they were ecstatic to have me back and made me feel so welcome. And just like, it's a fantastic group of people, and that whole crazy roller coaster experience really solidified why I wanted to be here.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, almost not that you wanted to get injured, but it almost worked out in a way that it let you kind of have some time to sit back and think and reflect in a way you wouldn't have if you were playing all those games.
Yeah, it was a total blessing in disguise.
Yeah, definitely. And then when you came back to ASU, you picked up right where you left off, point per game, over a point per game. But one thing I want to mention is playing in Mullet Arena. Obviously, it's one of the nicest arenas in college hockey. It's brand new. It looks absolutely wonderful. So talk about getting to play in that a little bit, because I know not every club team gets to play in the D1 barn. Some of them have to play in community rinks and different things.
Yeah, it's playing in Mullet is very cool. It has like it feels like you're playing on a professional sheet of ice because the Coyotes play there. But
Yeah.
it's really awesome. It's nice when we have big events, so a lot of people come out. Like our senior night game was at Mullet, and we were playing Michigan State, and we had a really great turnout. It was just really exciting to play in the rink. We get to use a lot of the facilities. Like Greg Powers let us use their locker room for that game, so that was really cool. But it's just it. Although we are technically a club hockey team, it makes you feel like you're kind of with the big dogs.
Right, exactly. And then, that club hockey word, I don't think it does a justification to
No.
the ACHA. It's really different than a lot of other club sports because
Mhm.
it's so competitive, and people go on to have hockey careers out of the ACHA, and it's a lot bigger deal than other club sports. So I feel like that word kind of drags it down in a sense.
I totally agree.
Um, Going off of that, I've had multiple men's ACHA players on. So you're the first women's. So let's talk a little bit like about the women's side. I know for
Mhm.
men's, some teams recruit, other teams don't really recruit. So some teams take it a little bit more serious. Do you see that on the women's side too? Like some teams are taking it more serious than others?
Yeah, definitely. There is a lot of different levels within like even the Division 1 league. Like you have the Air Forces of the world who unfortunately get blown out a lot of their games, and then you have Liberty who could compete at the NCAA Division 1 level. I firmly believe that they could play majority of
Oh
Division
yeah,
1 teams and beat them.
definitely.
So I think there's a lot of variety within the league. Um, I know ASU does recruitment. Lindsay will send herself or her assistant coaches out to some big tournaments across the states and do recruitment that way. I know that a lot of the teams in Liberty's league has scouts in different provinces and different states. Um, the top 10 teams, for the most part, treat their program like an NCAA program.
Yeah. It'd be
Mhm,
cool to see some of them get NCAA programs like
mhm,
Liberty or like Arizona, schools that have other Division 1 programs, like other Division 1 schools like Liberty or Arizona State or any of these different schools. It would be cool someday if they could transition and add, especially since Arizona State's got a Division 1 men's team. If they could
mhm.
add a women's team to kind of complement that, it would be
Absolutely.
really cool. But obviously, there's a lot of work and a lot of steps to be taken there.
Mhm.
Um, would you say that like the women's ACHA is more of a scorers league? Obviously, you've got some of those high scoring games against the low end teams, but other than that, I mean, overall, would you say it's a scorers league?
Mm, what do you mean by scorers league?
Like, you can just kind of, it's more of a an offensive league than a defensive league. Like I
I
know
think
you obviously against Air Force, it's pretty
yeah,
obvious. It's
yeah.
offensive, but like overall, would you say most nights you're going to go in and you're going to score a whole bunch of goals, or you're going to be stuck in a defensive battle, I guess
I'd
is
say
what I'm
it's
trying to get
pretty
at.
50-50 depending on who we're playing. Like absolutely when we play Liberty, we know that we're gonna have to buckle down defensively. Whereas where we're playing teams like Denver, who are in our league, we know it's gonna be a high scoring game. But really it's very 50-50 because the teams do change a lot throughout the years. Like last year, CU Boulder beat us to make it to nationals, whereas this year we beat them 7-0. We swept them. We swept the series against them. So it's really depending on who you're playing, when you're playing them, where you're playing them. It's very 50-50.
Yeah, so it's not just consistent black and white, like it's scores league, like lots of offense or no, it's just kind of up and down year to year,
Mhm.
really, really different.
Mhm. Totally.
Um, like with the men's ACHA, I've noticed, a lot of there's a lot more media, like with the Hockey House Pod and the ACHA show and some of that. And you see a little bit with the women's side, but I feel like not as much. Is there other media sources that I'm just not aware of? Or is it like a little, under the rug and you kind of got to dig for it?
You kind of have to dig for it. The main one, like you said, is Hockey House. I did do a podcast with Mac Murphy at the Hockey House last year. I was, I think, their second ever female guest on the show, which is crazy. Like, I wish there was a lot more coverage for the women's ACHA. Luckily, a lot of the teams do have fantastic media teams for themselves. Like in our case, we have a team of about 8 people, all from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, which is like one of the top journalism schools in the country. They do tryouts to be a part of our media team. We've got professional photography. We do professional media days. We have professional broadcasting. But when it comes to like podcasting and stuff like that, we don't get as much coverage as the men's Division 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. And I think part of that, like you said, some of the schools have really good media teams, and some of them, like obviously the ones that are a little bit more successful, it's easier to find information on. But I noticed in my searches, some of the schools that maybe don't take their programs as serious, it's hard to like find information on players and like different things. Some schools have really awesome websites with rosters and schedules, and others you can't find a recent roster. Some schools, they treat it like, some schools separate it. We got our NCAA sports and then our club sports. Some of the teams, you go on there and they've got their women's ice hockey, even though it's ACHA, listed with all the other women's sports. So I guess there's a lot of disparity between schools, and maybe that's a factor in it.
It's definitely depending on the school for sure. I know we're lucky, like I said, to have a great media team, but we are like our rosters and stuff are on a whole other website. Yeah. So that is a little difficult. I think there are rules surrounding where club sports can be listed because we are an NCAA Division 1 school. I'm not too sure, but I think that plays a part of it.
Yeah, I guess I haven't paid attention. Some of the ones that have it listed might be Division 3 schools or Division 2 schools, and they've just got it listed within there. I guess I never paid attention to that factor. But I would love to have more women's ACHA players on because, like, I think the ACHA is really cool. It's so under, like people don't really understand. They just like they see that word club hockey on the men's and women's side, and it's like they're just playing club hockey. They're obviously not good enough, and it's really not like that. It's really impressive, honestly. I mean, there's a lot of good hockey, and you look at you as an example. You had an option to go and play somewhere else, and you've got men who, I don't know about the women's side. I guess maybe you can touch on that. But like in the men's side, guys are signing pro contracts out of the ACHA. So do you know, is that a thing in the women's side? Are there women who are signing some sort of pro contracts coming out?
I haven't seen any out of the ACHA signing pro contracts, but it could be because the women's professional league isn't doing the women justice the way that they should be. Like the pay isn't really worth it. The facilities, the resources aren't really worth it to be doing that. When you're graduating with a degree, you can either go into your career field or you can be underappreciated in a professional women's league. You're going to probably choose to go into your career fields.
Yeah. And doing both is just too much of a, like, obviously a hassle to try to be a professional hockey player and have a full-time career and a family. And it's not really sustainable.
Which is what a lot of the women in the professional leagues have to do because they can't support themselves based on the salary that they're being given, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
I think one of the leagues upped their pay slightly. I mean, not a lot, but I think it was a slight increase, which is, a step in the right direction. But it is a shame, especially when you look at like the talent and the skill, and people seem to only care when the Olympics roll around. And then as soon as the Olympics are gone, it's like, oh, we don't care anymore. It is a shame, especially when you look at women's Division 1, women's Division 3, women's club hockey, and women's professional leagues. There's so much good hockey. It's a shame that it's not spotlighted as much. But hopefully we're moving slowly in the right direction.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the coming years, we'll start to see some of those changes where maybe somebody will, you know, sign pro coming out of the ACHA because it will be worth it for them at that time.
Mhm.
But hopefully, you know, we'll get to that point.
Fingers crossed.
So what are your hobbies? You know, like Arizona life. Like I don't know, I really like Arizona as a state. The weather is awesome. You don't have to
Oh,
worry
yeah.
about rain other than the monsoon season. Like you
Mhm.
got that nice dry heat, no humidity, the desert and everything. So what are your hobbies in Arizona?
Well, we like to go for hikes. We have a lot of girls from Alaska on our team, and they're big hikers back in Alaska. So they get us out and about going on hikes. So that's really awesome. Um, Obviously going to the pool, tanning. We're very fortunate to have a nice pool at our apartment complex, and majority of our team lives in this like little community. I think there's maybe 12 of us who are all neighbors here. So we'll all hang out at the pool, play spike ball. We just did a cornhole tournament a couple days ago, so that was really fun. There's a bunch of beach volleyball courts out here in Arizona. So we'll do that as a team sometimes, head out, do beach volleyball, and rollerblading just along Tempe Town Lake. It's kind of like a man-made lake that runs along campus. And it's a really pretty view to rollerblade down. You can go for about an hour. It's really nice. So those are the main things we like to do here. Just the weather's so nice. We might as well get outside.
Yeah, it has been a little bit of a cooler winter, though. I heard like
Mhm,
my grandparents winter out in Arizona. You know, they're snowbirds or whatever you want to
mhm,
call it. And I was texting my grandpa about the weather, and he said like, yeah, it hasn't actually been as warm as usual throughout the winter. A little bit
mhm.
cooler.
I know. I was remembering this time last year, we were able to like swim in our pool and stuff, but it's too cold right now for us to be doing that. Like, obviously, it's still pretty warm. Like, it's,
Yeah,
I know, 70s, 80s, but this
yeah,
time last year we
yeah.
were hitting 100. So a little
Right.
different.
Yeah, I don't know. I think 70s or 80s would be pretty right,
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
nice right now.
A
But
little bit different than Michigan, huh?
yeah, I think it hit 40 today, and it was like, wow, it was nice. You go out in shorts.
Nice. Get a tan on.
Right. Honestly, there's going through tech, most of the frats are kind of in a line on one street. Once it starts to get warmer, you can drive by and you can see people lying out on their roofs and different things. It'll be like, you know, warm.
Yeah. Oof. Yikes.
You got to do what you got to do in Michigan.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
different
That's fair.
animal.
That's fair.
And you know that coming from Canada, like
Mhm.
you understand.
Oh, totally. Totally.
What's your favorite food?
It's a good split between sushi and pasta for sure. I love Italian food, like especially like Alfredo, stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I also really like sushi.
Are either of those big down in Arizona?
Italian, yes. It's hard to find a good sushi place here just because Arizona, we're landlocked.
Yeah,
You're not getting
right.
anything super fresh. But unless you want to spend like $100 on a thing of sushi at what is it? Nobu, I think it is. The nice place. Yeah. Unless you want to spend a pretty penny there, you're not gonna get good sushi.
Yeah, I guess the Italian surprises me a little. One thing I noticed, like visiting my grandparents, is there's not a ton of like pizza places.
No, there
Like
aren't. We've got like
that's
the
not a
chains,
big thing,
but
right? Yeah.
yeah.
So I guess the Italian surprises me a little. I mean, it makes sense geographically that like
Mhm.
you're closer to Mexico. There's going to be a lot of that cultural food and not Italian food. But I feel like pizza is kind of a staple that
I
like
know.
you'd have the chains plus you know other
Mhm.
stuff, but I guess
Mhm.
not. What is your favorite sport non-hockey?
Definitely football. My dad used to be a professional football player, so
Oh,
I grew
really?
up watching football. He actually made me play tackle football growing up. He tried to put my brother into it, and he absolutely hated it. So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna put my daughter into this. So I played tackle football for a bit. We watch a lot of CFL because that's the league he played in mainly. He was drafted to the San Diego Chargers, but watch a lot of football. We love watching the Grey Cup, watching the Super Bowl, watch a lot of college football, stuff like that. So
Do you
how
go
about
to a lot of games at
you?
Arizona State? Do you go to a lot
Oh,
of games at Arizona State?
yeah, when it's football season, that's one of the best things to do is just go with a bunch of your friends to the football games. It's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's not really the same here at Tech. It's just Division 2, so I don't really get that like Saturday night or Saturday afternoon, or once in a while Division 1 you get like a Friday night or a Thursday night. You don't really get that at Tech. I mean,
Mhm.
the games they're fun, but it's not the same atmosphere. You're watching college football game day, and they're at some Division 1 school, literally anyone in the country, and there's 50,000 people there, and they're tailgating, and you know,
It's great. They
just
shut down the main like bar street in Tempe is called Mill, and they'll shut down the entire street on game days for tailgating, and it's just so fun, and the weather's perfect for it. It's just lovely. It's a really good time.
yeah, I can imagine that it's really fun. Have
Mhm.
you gone to any like basketball games or any of the other D1 sports?
Yeah, I like to go to the basketball games here a lot. I actually went to the record-breaking attendance game. It was like the most people at an ASU basketball game in school history. It was against UCLA. I think 2 months ago now. It might have been January. That was really fun. I like to watch women's soccer is really fun to watch as well. I've seen tennis. I've seen women's softball is really fun as well. I saw
Yeah,
baseball. Gymnastics is one of my team's favorite sports to go watch. It's just like insane to see how athletic those women are, and it's really fun to watch. So we do a
yeah.
lot
Softball is an impressive one.
of Mhm.
One of the years, I think it was freshman year of college, I was visiting my grandparents for spring break, and it was right before COVID. So like everything I went to was the last thing. And I went
Mhm.
to University of Arizona women's softball game, and they've
Mhm.
had one of the best programs for a long time. So that was pretty fun to go to. It's
Mhm.
really an impressive sport, women's softball,
It
definitely.
is. It is. Also, men's hockey is fun to watch here as well in Mullet,
Yeah.
obviously, but
Yeah,
that's kind of
right.
a given that we'd go watch them.
Yeah, do you guys go to any Coyotes games at all?
A little bit. I went to one when the Ottawa Senators were in town, just to cheer on my hometown team. And yeah, it's the tickets aren't crazy expensive, and the rink it feels very full because it's such a small rink for an NHL
Right.
team. But yeah, no, it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, they can't make the tickets that expensive. They're not that good. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I mean, did Ottawa win when you went at
I think
least?
they did. I think it was not just like a small win. I think it was a huge win, like 5-2
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, they're one of those bottom feeder teams, the Coyotes. It's kind
The
of
Sens
sad,
are
but
too though, so it's
yeah,
kind of
well,
just
they
2
shouldn't
crappy
be.
teams
I
playing
feel
each
like they should.
other.
I mean, free agency, you got Claude Giroux, and then the
Mm,
rink it and all that, and it was like, and then you got the trade with get Talbot and all these things,
mhm,
and I feel like I personally was like, oh yeah, the Sens are going to make the playoffs. They got all these free agency additions, and
mm.
then it was kind of a letdown,
I know, they
like
should be
throughout
a
the year.
wagon, they're just not. They just aren't.
Right? Yeah. If you look at the names they have on their roster, you're like, oh wow, there's.
I know, they yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, something their games in Ottawa are embarrassing to go watch, like, the rink's empty, it's not a good time.
Yeah, that's not
Mhm,
fun. Going to a
mhm.
game with an empty rink, no electricity, the team's garbage.
When Arizona was still at the Gila River rink, in Glendale, I went to go watch them play the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the rink was so empty, and it was a massive arena. It was so empty. There were more Maple Leafs fans there than Coyotes fans. It was just dead. It was a terrible game to watch.
Yeah, right. It doesn't even matter. Like if you were a Toronto fan, it still was probably a terrible game to watch because the building was empty. It wasn't
Yeah.
really fun. You don't get that atmosphere of like going to a pro sports game. It's just
Mhm.
like, uh,
Yeah, it was a letdown, huge letdown.
yeah, definitely. What's your favorite kind of music?
Definitely country music. I love country music. I don't listen to much rap or anything, but huge into country music.
So you a big fan of Morgan Wallen's new album?
Oh yeah. I am getting very confused by how many songs he's releasing on these albums. It's like overwhelming
Oh
me, but
yeah,
they're
there's
all
like
pretty good.
20 on that new one.
Yeah, it's crazy. But
Yeah,
they're all good songs, so I don't hate it.
I'm not a huge modern country guy,
Mm.
but I did listen to a few of them, and they're not bad. Like
No, they're
I
very like,
was,
pop country, but I don't hate
yeah,
it.
I was looking at the one of the Spotify charts, and I feel like he had like 20, half of the songs. He had 25 songs in the top 50. Half of
Yeah.
the top 50 was his. I was like, all right, that's insane. I
Right?
don't,
He's good. I like Zach Bryan a lot too. He's pretty good. Thomas Rhett, all like the basic
yeah.
ones.
So do you only like new country, or do you like older country too,
I
like
like
a
some older
90s, like
country.
George Strait and some of the like classic stuff, or no?
Oh, well, I wouldn't say classic. I like Kenny Chesney. Like
Okay.
that's a little bit older, I guess.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I feel
Yeah,
like he was more of like a early to mid 2000s guy. I mean, he
yeah,
put out a
that's about
few
as old
stuff,
as I'll get.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like he's a guy that'd be really fun to go to a concert. One of
I think
his
so
like
too.
he does all those concerts in like the Bahamas or
Yeah, his
wherever he is, and
Margaritaville
the
stuff, I think
yeah,
that's
that'd be
him.
awesome to go
Yeah.
to a whatever beach island Kenny Chesney
Mhm.
concert. It'd be a lot of fun. Well, he's always singing about beaches. It's something you can listen to in the winter, and it makes you, feel a little bit warmer.
Right? He has a radio station on Sirius XM that my dad loves, his, like, No Shoes radio station.
Oh
My
yeah,
dad every time we're in the car, he has that on, like, he loves Kenny Chesney.
yeah. No, he's got some good stuff. Beer in Mexico, and I
Mhm.
can't even think of some of the other ones right now, but
Yeah.
he's definitely got some fun songs. Do
Mhm.
you like what about Toby Keith, or is that too like
Mm.
not
I
your vibe?
I don't I don't even know if I know any of his songs. Like, what would
Wow.
his what's his, like, most
Um.
popular song?
Oh, what's his most popular song? I feel like one that everyone knows is "As Good as I Once Was." Um,
Mm.
I think he's got another one. I love this bar. He's got the one, the courtesy of the red, white, and blue that he wrote after 9/11.
I'm drawing a blank. I
Um,
don't know any of these. Oh
he's
gosh.
got I think he's really good. He hasn't put out like a lot of modern I feel like it's more like 2000 to 2010 is his
Mm,
like range, maybe late 90s too.
mm.
Um, so maybe it's not your vibe if you're like a Morgan Wallen
Yeah,
kind
I'm
of.
definitely like a fake country, like the more modern guys for sure.
Yeah. So do you like pop then? If you like fake country?
Yeah, I like pop. I think some of the pop songs they feel very repetitive,
Yeah.
but I like that. I like EDM music. That's good too. Um I got into like making mixes for my team. Like I make our locker room mixes on SoundCloud. So I do that for us. Which is all basically just like EDM music. Um yeah, that's about it.
So is that what you guys listen to for pump up? Is like EDM?
Yeah, pretty much. EDM mixed in with like some like the obvious rap songs that everyone knows. I'll like throw those in there. Like early 2000s stuff that's easy to mash up.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you guys listen to like a group playlist, and then everyone kind of like breaks off on their own and does their own thing, or?
We what I have is like a full like mashup mix. Like,
Okay.
like the big booty mixes, what those are.
Yeah.
I make stuff like that and like we just
Okay.
throw that on in the locker room and a lot of people like put their own headphones on sometimes. We also have like a joint playlist if we're not feeling like listening to one of my mixes, but yeah.
So you're like the team DJ.
Uh yeah, you could say that. Occasionally, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't think I have anything else. I think that's a good place to wrap it up. Like I said, you were the first women's ACHA player, so hopefully the first of many.
That's
Um,
awesome. That's
hopefully
really
it's a
exciting.
trend. I'd love to get more. I'm always looking for guests, unique guests. I feel
Mhm,
like so many podcasts. It's just like only college hockey, only pro. I don't know. I go all over the board. I'm
mhm.
got pro athletes, ACHA. I'd have high schoolers come. Actually, eventually here soon, I'm gonna have a high schooler coming on who is had a big year. I won't reveal anything else just in case it like falls through. I don't want
Okay,
to
okay.
promise the guests anything and then
I
not have it
know.
like I
Mhm.
did that one episode.
Oh,
I
and the person just never showed up?
well I he just keeps ghosting me. So it's
Mm.
in my episode where I had one of the guys who acted in the movie Miracle on, and I was
Mm.
like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have another one of your actors on. I'm talking to him." Never happened. So kind of, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to
Yeah.
like throw out a name and then have it
Keep it
not
mysterious. Keep the
happen.
people
Right.
guessing.
Exactly. But yeah, thank you for joining me. It was a good time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. That was really cool.